A very good morning, a pretty day, and warm welcome to you all for the second day of 24th National RESC Conference and 9th National Conference on Language Assessment 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you all have great enthusiasm, much dedication, and also pleasant thoughts to join in with us today. A very good morning, your knowledge on every welcome language, as well as second day of the event, a national RESC conference without a national conference. Let's move language assessment today. Let's invite Mrs. Kaliver, great enthusiasm, Mr. Lecturer, dedication, and also pleasant Institute of Education. Today, introduce your knowledge speaker on over to you, madam, as well as second day of the event, National RESC Conference without a national conference. Let's move language assessment today. Let's invite Mrs. Kaliver, great enthusiasm, Mr. Lecturer, dedication, and also pleasant Institute of Education. Today, introduce your knowledge speaker on over to you,
Dr. Eloisa Zauman is an experienced English language practitioner, teacher trainer, a developer, a material developer, a research supervisor, a self-titled writer, and a mentor. She is currently working as a lecturer at the English Language Department, Institute of Teacher Education, Islamic Languages, Malaysia. She has obtained her PhD in linguistics from the Language English Language Practitioner and a master's degree in development from the University of Malaya, Malaysia in 2013. She has obtained her Bachelor of Education degree from the University of Malaya and 1990 departments. She has contributed her knowledge expertise to many national and international training sessions as a subject matter expert, a training language English language practitioner, and a master's degree in development and a curriculum Malaya, Malaysia. The most significant factor is throughout her career, she has shared knowledge with the students as an NGT from general education to university education in Malaysia. Also, she has taken part in national and international research conferences as a presenter to share her research findings with the community of language education and a curriculum Malaya, Malaysia. The most significant factor is throughout her career, she has shared knowledge with the share her expertise with general over to you, ma'am. University education in Malaysia. Also, she has taken part in national and international research conferences as a presenter to share her research findings with the community.
Hi, so sorry. Okay, okay, there's a technical error. Okay, it's all right. All right, I'm on it, right? Okay, right. Let me share my screen first. Oh dear, the sharing screen has, okay, hold on. Okay, let me just share this screen of mine. Okay, right. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone online and in Sri Lanka. Before I begin my sharing, I wish to express my gratitude to Madam Chapa Wela Jedara and Ms. Varosha Jiganage. I'm so sorry. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Thank you for inviting me to this auspicious event, and I'm truly honored and humbled to be with all of you. Okay, so as you can see, the title of my sharing today is actually So Over You Post-COVID. So when Madam Chapa emailed to me about the theme, it struck a chord because in this current situation that we are having, we have to move forward as discourses regarding technology skills and how to teach online is slowly becoming a very cold topic. So we are now facing the aftermath of COVID, hence the title for today's sharing. Allow me to begin my sharing with the agenda Okay. Firstly, I will be sharing with you, all of you, what actually happened when COVID came. I believe this one everyone knows, but this would provide a background to my sharing today, my speech today. Secondly, I will putting forth the stories that occurred during post-COVID. I believe also this one, many countries, many schools, many nations have actually gone through it. But this is just to highlight the whole thing, the whole topic of today. And finally, I will be discussing the title. So overview post-COVID. This is when I share the way forward, what I believe should be the way forward with all of you. So what really happened when COVID came to everyone? I'm sure all of us can recall. Okay, hold on. Okay. In the economy sector, changes happened when COVID came. People started, businesses and organizations and companies basically had to re-strategize their operating game. They had to decide how they would operate while everyone, the clients and staff, were actually locked up in their homes. How would they keep afloat when their businesses had to halt their operations and production? How were they going to market and promote and sell their products? So these organizations and companies had to embrace a not so new work culture, because it has been going on. It's just that not many companies and organizations have actually embraced it. It's working from home and conducting online meetings, discussions, and working remotely. So thanks to COVID, that sped up everything, and everyone was basically working remotely, having online discussions and meetings. And now they are actually had to plan on how this new, not so new culture will work for the company and how it will be optimized. Although this so-called work culture, new work culture, is does not only affect employers, but employees were also affected. For example, married employees, such as myself. I'm married, I've got 3 kids, and we had to basically plan our work time properly and in an organized manner, because we had our work at the same time, and we had to juggle our children's needs at home while they had online classes and all those things. So it was a new situation for all of us, a new culture, I would say, right? And employees in employers in general, how did they have to how are they going to work this out? How are they going to ensure that the staff is actually doing work and all? How everything is going to be done and all. And for employees in general, how are they going to make sure that they were not working around the clock? Trying to discern their working time and resting time, because I'm sure this happened to everyone. We seem to be, during that COVID lockdown time, we were working endlessly and there seemed to be no cutoff time. I'm not sure about many of you, but for me, it was like that. Our cutoff, we were doing work at the same time, caring for our children and our other halves. And at the same time, work continued into the late in the night. We couldn't see because we were at home, all those things. So there was no cutoff time at that point during that lockdown period. And then during this COVID also, companies which were selling products, be it food or grocery items or personal care products, they needed to find ways to actually deliver their products to keep their customers happy, and to ensure that the income that comes in keeps the company afloat. So when these things happen, they had to basically, as I said, re-strategize everything. And on top of that, there were movement restrictions and within and between states, counties and districts, which happened to Malaysia as well, where there was limited access to basic goods like groceries, toiletries, all those things. So how were we going to? What was what would happen? What could we do? So of course, we've always had this, but again, it was not. I mean, well, I wouldn't say well received, but it was not in a big way. E-commerce, the acceleration of e-commerce transactions and door-to-door delivery services. This, thanks to COVID again, it expounded this business, this e-commerce transactions and door-to-door delivery services. Companies began to offer online services. Companies which never had, that was the experience that we had in Malaysia. Companies that never had online services, suddenly they had online services. And through websites, through WhatsApp calls, all those things happen. Companies which did not have online websites, they provided services through other platforms. Delivery companies, like for us, is called Grab and Beep It, where you can select your items and then it can be sent to you. You don't have to move. You don't have to go out even. And that also started delivery companies started sprouting out, like Food Panda, Grab, Lala Move. That was in Malaysia. I am not so sure how it is in Sri Lanka, what other companies, but I'm sure there were a lot of delivery companies that sprouted due to this, due to COVID. Basically to cater to the demands of buyers, people, and also to cater to employ more riders and drivers, so that they could deliver the products. So basically, in summary, for the economy sector, the not so new, I would call not so new culture started and expounded. E-commerce, and then the courier services, delivery services, all expounded, and all those things started, sprouting and expanding. Now, for the education sector, notably teachers, lecturers, and administrators, they gain new technology skills. Actually, it's not new, but it basically we extended our skills even better to the, we could come up with games. We could have games in the classroom. We have Google Classroom in split second, and most of us gain certificates, like for example the Google certified educators, to polish our skills, our ICT skills, technology skills. So, and of course, we had online classes, which in universities and institutions, they had it before this. They had it, but it was not, again, physical classes. Face-to-face was more the go-to form of teaching and learning. But they also had online classes, but on a very minuscule side. However, thanks to COVID again, we had online classes full force in institutions, in universities, and even in schools, just so that the children will not suffer in their learning, and they would be able to learn. Classes go on as normal. Okay. In this era, and that online era, that even kindergartens, preschools, they had it. And the thing is, I would say it's 90% of the time that lessons were carried online. Why I say 90%? Because there were sectors of the society which had no access to it, mainly because they are from the low social economy, or they don't have access to digital devices, and they are not part of being able to afford all those things. Then in came technology use in all sectors. Now, technology use has always been there. I'm sure you can agree with me. Technology is, we have TikTok, all those things, software, all we have always had it. However, COVID actually boosted a lot of things in terms of promoting products, services, and then document and staff management. In came a lot of innovations. How were companies or institutions, organizations were going to do all this, promote their items, promote their services, and some resorted to also TikTok and new ways of staff and document management. How would they collect documents? How would they actually verify those documents? And these things, because of the COVID again, it expounded innovations. Everyone started coming up with their own software, their own apps, to cater to the needs of the many of the masses. Okay, obviously, we can see that COVID came and changed the whole equilibrium. The changes and development actually served us quite well. We found and there were a lot of things that were not so new, but it expounded and people started looking for it and were pushed to embrace it. Now, newfound, I would call them newfound discoveries occurred as well. Educators developed new ICT skills and they had new teaching learning approaches in online teaching. All those things developed through this COVID situation. Then came the day where many countries decided to lift the restrictions by reopening schools, allowing shops to open, travels between districts and states, which, then came post-COVID, okay? But with that, although the decision was welcomed by many, okay, there were also new things or new, I would say again, I'm overusing it, new discoveries started revealing itself. Whereby, for example, in the economic sector, yes, the e-commerce accelerated. Okay, however, businesses still were very much impacted by COVID, and they did quite badly. Economic crisis emerged and affected a lot of businesses and trades around the world for several months, and many countries was at a standstill. And because of that, a lot of things couldn't be done, trades couldn't be done, and to the point where companies had to scale down the number of staff they employed. Shops or companies had to close shop basically. There were layoffs, and even companies which have been around for decades, they suddenly had to switch to close shop or reduce their operations. Then, of course, with that, we had not so new work culture, the work from home, remote working, and remain in some organizations. Some companies and organizations actually retain that culture because they found that it reduced work traveling time and expenses, operational costs, and it all became more cost effective. So this itself brought in the spotlight to a new form, what I call digital nomads. I think some of you would be familiar with that term, digital nomads. Basically, it's an occupation now, which I find that many the youths have actually embraced it, whereby they are working there anywhere and remotely, anywhere in the world. They can be, for example, in Malaysia, but the office is in India. Okay, or they can be, well, the office may be in India. They are basically based in Paris, for example. So this digital nomads, I believe they travel from one place to another, and then they hook up the network and all. So that brought post-COVID. With post-COVID, these things emerged. These new occupations emerged. Now, in the education sector, okay, what happened during post-COVID? While yes, I have to agree, educators, teachers, and all had they gained a lot of skills, ICT skills, and all. But when they went back to school, they were struggling to convince or to get students to return to school. Parents themselves had difficulty in pushing their children to school, and at the same time, teachers, educators found they were struggling with bridging the gap, the learning gap between students who are actually they have all the devices, they are online classes, they were there during the online classes, and with those students, and bridging the gap between them and the students who have fallen behind because they do not have access to any of it, or very limited access to the online classes, online lessons, and all that, and all those. I would like to relate to you a conversation that I had. I was in England in last December for my convocation ceremony, and I met with my PhD supervisor. We exchanged notes on what was happening in schools and how was this teaching and learning situation over in England and Malaysia. And on my part, it would be a bit prejudice or assumptions, right? I felt that England and UK being the first world country, they would not be having this kind of issue. But my supervisor shared that at that point of time, 100 over 1,000 students in UK were missing from schools, and they did not return to schools. They term these children, these students, as ghost children. They could not be detected, they could not be found. Schools went all out to look for them, but they just disappeared. They just refused to go to school, and they did not want to be found. Now in Malaysia, MOE, Ministry of Education, actually reported back in July 2021 that a total of 21,316 students did not complete their education and dropped out of schools. Based on my observation and conversations with fellow teachers, fellow educators, the attendance of students were also low, very low, and the fact that they're not coming back to school and all, it's a concern, it's a growing concern. And earlier this year we had some practicum and all. I spoke to the teachers. They were attendance of students were low, still low, because parents were very apprehensive about sending their children back to school. The concerns were the health, the COVID situation, and children coming back with COVID symptoms and illness and all those. So I believe when just I think in August, September, there was another practicum session that we had, and I asked the teachers how was the attendance and all. They said that it has improved. It has improved, and it's still a struggle to get them to back to school 100%, but it has improved. So there is an increase. So that would be it. However, despite all this, another issue cropped up, which is learning loss. Now, according to Lim, Felito, Wirasena, and Suzuki 2021, at the point of that study, okay, Malaysia had the highest learning losses across all Asian developing countries, whereby 0.95 years, they lost 0.95 years of learning. And I also found that Sri Lanka was lesser than us by zero. It was estimated at 0.81 years. That was a learning loss. However, please do correct me if I'm wrong. That was what it was. Okay. Now I will show you these graphs. Okay. This was taken from Lim, Felito, Suzuki, and Wirasena 2021. As you can see, the graphs that I'm showing is the years of learning loss that happen in countries, especially countries which were still developing. And then, and I mentioned earlier on about the reasons why there was a learning loss there. Of course, you can see I believe it's happening to everyone around the world. Okay. Internet, no access, limited access, no hardware, no devices, all those things. Now, all of these. So this itself, learning loss actually impacted earning loss of many countries. Now, again, I would like to quote Lim, Felito, Suzuki, and Wirasena, 2021. The losses, open quote, the losses in educational learning among students will lead to losses in potential earnings, disruption of work productivity and skills, as well as lifetime earnings, unquote. So learning loss has impacted the earning loss. To put it simply, all right, productivity comes from capital and labor. Now, capital is in the form of money, okay? For emerging markets like ourselves, Malaysia and Sri Lanka and India, we have the foreign direct investments. That one brings in the money, brings in the capital, okay? And labor, here we are talking about labor, skilled labor. And usually skilled labor comes from the education that they receive, the labor receives. So how does it affect all this? Is because when children drop out of school, or youth drop out of school, okay, they drop out, as I was saying, that remember I was going back to what I said about working from home, and then deliveries came about, new form of deliveries, door to door, all those things. That was also why many many students did not go back, because they found that the money itself is lucrative. They didn't feel that they need to study because they were already earning. So that happened in Malaysia. So because of that, when that happens, they become unskilled. They do not have the skills or the education that is important. At the moment, it's okay, but looking into the future, when the companies start to employ, they are basically, they can choose to have either unskilled labor or skilled labor. Of course, as companies, they would rather have skilled laborers. So that is to do, because for them, that's a better candidate. Okay. So that is the issue. When learning loss happens, it impacts the earning loss. This is, if you can, I hope everyone can see that. This is what's happening here. This is basically the numbers. If you can see here, those without certificate, the earnings loss is in the hundreds. But when you see the degree, in the thousands, that is it. Okay, so what do we do? What has been done to actually mitigate this issue, this learning loss issue? What Malaysia has accomplished or done at the moment is we have a repository for teachers, children, and parents, where there are a lot of exercises, games, all those references for the children at home to teach them, to coach them. These I would say documents or exercises or games or whatsoever, all those things are actually made by teachers in school, created by teachers in school, and of course they took some from other places, but generally teachers came up with them and put it in the repository, so whereby teachers can use all sorts of all these things to help bridge that gap with students who were of course advanced because they were online, they were in the class online and everything, with students who with children who basically had no access to online learning. And then one thing that we had was also MOE, the Ministry of Education Malaysia, actually shifted the date of CJ Pelajaran Malaysia. It's a high school leaving cert actually. Normally we have it in December, November or December, November right up to December, sorry. And what happened was, because they realized that there's a gap, okay, the learning loss was there. Now, this SPMOs, as we call it here, it's a high stakes exam, because that would basically determine whether they can go to universities or where do they go from there. It is conducted at the end of Form 5. Form 5 here is 17 years old, for 17-year-olds. So they usually have it in November right through December. But because of what was happening, they realized, the Ministry of Education realized that that can't happen, because it wouldn't be fair for the children, for the students who had no access to the learning, to the to classes and all. So they shifted it to March next year. So students this year who are 17-year-olds, program. This one was just recently. I had we had they had in schools, they were conducting, selected schools, yeah, they were conducting reading assistance program, whereby children who are not able to read, write and all, they had extra assistance, helping assistance. They had a lot of help, they had a lot of help from teachers and all, student teachers were invited to volunteer and join in the program to help them read. Our students from IPGKBA were also invited to join in, and some of our students actually volunteered to teach, to help the students read, because as I said earlier on, when the students came back, teachers were struggling to get them at the same level with some students, because the learning, they could not recognize the ABCs, could not count 1, 2, 3, could not read at all. So that was the issue, and our MOE decided to have this reading assistance program. Then of course, we had this some companies and some institutions, some NGO helped out by providing hardware, digital devices to families, to children who come from low income groups, and as well as provide technical support for educators and teachers to help in the, using ICT and to teach itself. So that was it. That was what we have been doing. Are they enough? Are these initiatives enough? I would say, of course not. But I believe that at least something is being done. There are, I would call them bite-sized milestones. Therefore, they had that. Okay. Now, finally, it comes to the main issue, the main title, my title itself. Okay, so overview post-COVID. The game plan is to this basically, how do we move forward from this one? What do we do? Okay, So in the economic sector, as I informed you, as I talked about, discussed, and presented to you, we had digital nomads, we had remote working, all those things. Okay. These are happening right now, and in the future it's going to continue. The new jobs are going to start to emerge. Things that were not the norm are becoming the norm now, and they are expounding. The creative industries itself are increasing, and I mentioned about the innovations and how people were promoting their products, services, and all. So a lot of creative industries, the creative industries have actually expanded, and the request, the for people who can create content expounded as well. All these were happening at the same time. So how does this translate to our education? Basically, to put it simply, all these jobs, all these new things that are coming on are at the end of the line. They are ultimately the achievements of people who are studying, who are learning, people, students, our children. They are the future of the future. So that is the future. This new age, emerging jobs, occupations. So how that would, if we don't close the gap right now, the learning gap, the learning loss, we don't close it, or we don't do something about the learning loss, they are going to lose everything. Okay, of course, lose everything. I mean, in the sense that their future would be a bit bleak. All right. So we need to have that. We need to see how we can go about closing this gap between those who are already at par and those who were not able to be online in the classroom with their friends. Now, because everyone is entitled to knowledge and skills and opportunities. Everyone is entitled to an education. So these are the things that we have to do. Okay, and the learning curve has to be sped up. So how do we do this? We have to find exciting ways to lure, to entice the children back to school. As I said, it was difficult. It's a struggle to get the students back to school. So what do we do? How do we do this? We have to bring in more technology in the classroom. And then we also have to allow the students to use technology when submitting their assignments and all. That happens in universities, but in schools, that is not quite happening. Because we still see, we go back to pen and paper, but now we have to get the students, our children, to get used to using technology. Yes, we use, as educators, we use technology to teach, but we have to also allow our children to use technology to present their work, their homework, assignments, whatever. And also we have to carry out more fun classroom activities or lessons. I would like to share with you what some of our student teachers have been doing in our institution. I remember recalling having a conversation with a few students. They told me that they implemented the escape room game in the classroom for an English lesson. So, okay, I'm a bit behind time. I am not so, into these games and everything. So basically what they told me is escape room is when they close all of the doors of the classroom. What they do is the whoever's in the classroom, they have to find ways to get out of the classroom. It's like a maze. They come up with a maze and they find ways to get out of that classroom. So what they did was they had to find papers, or they had to do activities, guess the name of an animal kind of thing to get them to the next level. You see, and they created that escape room session in the classroom with the students, the pupils. And what happened was the class that they were teaching requested it for more. And they, of course, they couldn't have it all the time, but they did. So that itself was appealing. And I spoke to the teachers as well, and they said, because they were there, the student teachers were there, the attendance was quite good. Okay, because they started, having all those activities. Okay, so that is one way we can come up with innovative styles, and then bring in, I would say, games that are online, and somehow change it or innovate it, or adopt and adapt it to the classroom, physical classroom, so that they can, enjoy lessons. I feel that teachers, educators, even myself for that matter, we have to keep abreast with what appeals to this new generation, the generation right now, and update our methods, our thinking, our thoughts, our mindset, because it's a different ball game altogether. The generation now is really different. They think differently. They see, they are on TikTok most of the time. They learn things on TikTok. My son would actually tell me, "Mommy, I can find everything on Google. I just type whatever I need and it comes out. I have videos there. I can learn everything there." We were arguing about learning and doing work and everything, and my children are the generation of today. They seem to have an answer for everything. So yeah, it's a struggle having a decent conversation with them. But well, that is the thing that I have to learn to accept, that they are a different breed altogether because of this current situation that's happening. So children also we have to create awareness as well, that children, they go to school not to learn new knowledge and go get exams, perform exams, do exams, and all those things. We need to get them to realize that school is about developing their character, their thinking, their critical thinking, their soft skills, their social skills, all those. It's not only about homework, exams. And in new tertiary education, for tertiary education, I believe that new courses should crop up, should be designed. Curriculum needs to be changed or revised. As I mentioned earlier, there are so many new jobs, especially in the creative industry. We have game designer, cartoon anime artists, all those things. You can look at certain design schools, art schools, and these are things that are coming up. And as I said, when companies wanted to promote all these activities, all the products and all, they were looking for people who can design, content designers, everything. So tertiary institutions, universities have to start looking or creating courses, designing courses which are relevant to the generation of today. And another example that I want to share with you is that we had practicum. Okay, I've been mentioning practicum just in case anyone is like wondering what practicum actually means. Practicum here is when our student teachers go to school to gain real life experiences as a teacher. Okay, that is where they put in practice whatever they have learned in schools, and they have to manage, they have to show to teachers, educators like myself, how they manage and what they do and what they are teaching, why they're teaching as such, and all those things. Now, when that happened, we had online teaching. Our student teachers had to teach online. Now, the thing is, our student teachers were never exposed to online teaching. We didn't have that online teaching in the class, in our syllabus or in our curriculum. What we had was how to use ICT in the classroom, how to use games, what games are available, what software are available, what apps are available to use in the classroom, but not online teaching. So me not being, I myself have not observed anyone teaching online. And these student teachers also have no experience. So we were basically blind leading the blind. So the issue I had was when I was assessing them. Okay. I had to work with what I have. The rubrics itself was not actually for online teaching. I had to consider, do I penalize my students when there are not many students on board? When I know that the students, the pupils, sorry, allow me to use the word pupils for the children in schools. These pupils can't come to, they don't have access to internet. They don't have access to digital devices. So do I penalize my student teachers for not calling or forcing them to be online in class, the online classes with them? Do I do that? So how do I assess them to manage the online classes when they themselves are a bit lost? So that is where I feel the assessment that we need to change or revise our curriculum to cater this online teaching. We can no longer have face-to-face teaching alone in the curriculum. We have to have online teaching syllabus or online teaching courses now to cater, because we never know that, okay, COVID situation came as a surprise to everyone in the world. And so that we are prepared to bridge the gap and to ensure that this learning loss doesn't happen again, we have to be prepared. We have to start having it in our syllabus or teacher education curriculum. So a revision of that one is essential at this moment, because as I said, we don't know in the future, it might be different. We might be, have to stay at home. Things we don't know. Unprecedented future, actually. Okay. And another radical suggestion, I would say, radical because it's not being done yet. Schools should also have online lessons for both the teachers and students, meaning they have physical face-to-face classroom and as well online classes to get them accustomed, so that if anything will have to happen, split second, it's okay. We are good. We can do this. So online teaching happens instead of, again, the same situation. Everyone is a bit vague or with what's happening. Now, the game plan on the mindset itself, here I want to talk about how we need to change or embrace change. Our mindset has to change, because in this new era, things have changed within a split second again. As I said just now, when COVID came, everything had to. I remember in Malaysia, we were suddenly commanded, we were instructed to leave everything and pack up whatever we had, our laptops, everything, devices, and go home straight away. There was no way we could set up anything. So the change itself is happening, and we have to change, embrace the change. As I said earlier on, the work that we had, the new age occupations, digital nomads, anime artists, all those things are happening. So if we don't move with the times, we don't embrace change, we don't accept that change is happening, it's going to be difficult, because things will not be relevant to our children, to the generation of today and in the future. So we have to embrace it. The mindset has to change. And of course, as I said, we have to do this all in bite-sized milestones. Rome was not built in one day. We're doing it. Malaysia is doing it, and I'm sure Sri Lanka is doing it. Every part of the world is doing it. It's not groundbreaking revelations or resolutions, but it is a start. So basically, I'm not sure whether I'm running out of time. Okay. Basically, to conclude it, okay, the keywords to what I have to say today is basically embrace change, make the changes, and these changes have to be relevant. We have to close the gap. If not, our future generation, our generation of today will be at the losing end eventually. All right. I think that's all for today, and I hope I did justice to the topic. I hope you were able to follow me. I believe there's a Q&A after this. Hold on. Hi. I believe there's a Q&A after this, right? Any questions? So sorry, I can't hear you.
You have.
Hi.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, let me open up the Q&A session. If you
Yeah.
have any queries, this is the time for you to raise.
So I have a question from you. I
Yes.
am coordinator RESC Martha. I am Shobi Handudheva. Then you talk about online platform is a very good platform to bridge the gap of the learning loss. But when we match online platform with on-site, that means face-to-face teaching, there's a vast difference, because when we are in online, when we talk about the education or the schools, students are not active. And sometimes the students will face problems when they look at the screen for a long time. And then you talk about e-commerce as well. And so when we, it is a good platform, and it is quick. And the thing is, when we order things from a shopping mall or a store, we don't have get the guarantee of the supplier. And if we order things from another country, then so it's very good, but we can't match the on-site platform with the online platform. So is there any solution there's a gap to bridge this gap?
Yes, sir. I do agree with you. There are a lot of issues at the same time. I have experienced it myself among my students, where I find, actually, to be honest, I find face-to-face classes a lot better, because I can actually see what they're doing,
Yes.
as opposed to online. Let me rephrase that in the sense that I don't mean that online teaching is the way to go. I believe that we have to find ways to to ensure, how do we mitigate the issues there. Of course, face to face, as I was saying, is the best, actually. But if so, when this whole thing comes again, what can we do to ensure that it doesn't happen? We have to find ways to do that. It can be in terms of giving them initiatives, giving them stickers, or posting to them if they respond to the questions. We give them points, and they continue getting the points, and at the end of the day, when they are able to have 10 points, then you give them a present, or you send them a present, or all those things. I guess in that way it would do. And I agree with you, as I said,
Yeah.
It's not everything is all flowery and enjoyable, but we have to start somewhere. And in the case
Yeah.
of you were asking about the e-commerce, yes, I agree with you. I have lost parcels.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yes. And so actually, when we think of language teaching and some subjects like science, so the students have to do practical. So then I think, I believe on-site teaching is more helpful than online teaching.
I believe so. The issue right now is how do we make sure that the children, because of the learning loss that happened, how do we get
Yes.
them, how do we
Yeah.
speed up that learning? So we have to
Yeah.
somehow do it. The fact that, you know, in the face-to-face classroom, we've got to make sure that what we do now has to be relevant to them, to entice them to come back to school. Come on, we're
Yeah.
having some great time here,
Yeah.
so they look forward to it, because it has always been my motto is that have fun in everything you do, because when you have fun in what you do, you learn better, you remember better, it sticks with you. So yeah.
Yes, so it's a very good platform to cover the learning loss, or
Yes.
without doing anything. So we can do something with online.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question.
Good day, ma'am. I am Lankesh from
Yes.
RESC. We are really happy about your session because it was really a good eye opener for all of us, right? So
Most
I
welcome.
have a very simple question.
Yes.
Now, we have a lot of rural schools, and there are a lot of teachers from rural schools representing our conference today. So on behalf of them, do you have any programs that teachers can use to cater to learning losses in rural schools? Because most of the rural schools, they don't have the facilities like internet or other facilities. Sometimes they don't have even a laptop or computer in the schools. So are there any simple programs that you have implemented in your country to cater to learning losses in rural schools?
In rural schools, I believe I mentioned the 4 things that we are doing that actually caters to all the schools, all the public, all the government schools in Malaysia itself. We have that program because of that same issue that you are having. What the issues that you're having in rural areas in Sri Lanka is exactly like ours, where we have our remote areas where teachers actually have to cross the river to get to school. So we have those kind of things where like, for example, the reading assistance program that is being carried out as well in schools. Of course, it may not student teachers may not be involved, but the teachers themselves are carrying it out on their own initiative as well, because they do recognize that the learning loss. So that's what we have been happening. And the SPM, and I was saying that the high stakes exam that we have, it's actually for everyone in the government school. So that is what it is. It's not the 4 initiatives I brought forth to you is not only for the urban students. It's for everyone, even the rural areas in Malaysia, because like, I think geographically we are almost similar. We have the remote areas and all, so we have to cater for them. It's, as I said, it would be unfair for them, because everyone is entitled to an education and in Malaysia it's a policy that students go to school at the age of 7. It's a law actually. So yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Most welcome. I think there is a question here by...
Yes, madam. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation.
Yes.
It was very informative and useful for us. I have one question for you. We now know that COVID has gone away,
Yes.
but how did you handle those different learning styles of students during COVID season online?
Online. Okay.
Yes, how did you handle them?
Basically in some schools, for students who do not, basically they don't have access to digital devices, some schools, what they did was actually print out exercises and give it to the students themselves, physical exercises to keep up with them. But for those who did not have access to digital or devices or internet, and in some cases whereby there's limited devices, what happens at home is what the teachers did was like they have we use a Google Classroom, so work was there. The teachers would upload any exercises or games and everything there, and those students who, because in some households they have only one digital device, it's one laptop, and that laptop is shared amongst the siblings. Some would be 17 years old, some would be 9 years old, some, and there are like 5 of them, 5 siblings. So what they did was, okay, because they can't be online at the same time, they took turns. And if they can't be online, the work that was given in a Google Classroom, they had to download and come and submit the work the next day or a certain date. That was what happened for those who had limited access. As I said, for those who did not have any access, some schools actually provided work, physical papers, and give it to school, to the students, so that they can do, and then they're collected at the end of it. I do know in England they did the same, where they had no access to digital devices. This was because as I said, I was in England in December, and I was exchanging notes. So there were times when some students, the same issue, no digital devices. So the school had to prepare homework packs for each student. So parents had to go and collect them at schools and then bring them back home. And at the end of the week, parents had to go send it back to get them marked. That was what what happened in England. For us, as I mentioned earlier, we gave the work to them.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Madam, I am so much interested in handling different learning styles of students.
Yeah.
I would like to know how did you handle them during that particular period of different
Okay.
learning?
For my level, they were students. I would say the student teachers that were under me were very good. Basically, they did the work I asked and they presented. Of course, I gave them a lot of time. We still had classes. What happened was if it's a 2-hour class, we cut it to 1 hour class, so that they're able to do the rest of the work and then submit online, and they presented. That was how we had to handle it. Because of the screen time as well and internet, we wanted to reduce the internet data that they had, because some of them do not have Wi-Fi at home, so they depended on their phones for data, for internet connectivity, so they could not use up everything. If not, the whole month they can't access the lessons. So sometimes there were I believe 40% was online and 60% was remote, whereby we uploaded work for them to do, and then when they have a class the next day or the next week, they would present their work. That was how we did it here, because for the same matter, screen time as well as limited internet data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, madam.
Most welcome. I think there's a question here by Pereira Vishvoda. So many cases of thanks for the fruitful session, madam. In Sri Lanka, after the pandemic, there were so many cases of addiction and misuse. Any idea on this issue, ma'am? I'm not too sure what you mean by addiction and misuse. I believe that has to do with digital devices. This one, I'm so sorry, but parents have to be a bit more strict. The thing is, yeah, there is an issue when parents are also working and they have no time or they can't handle the children at the same time. But something has to be done. The parents themselves have to take this on them because they are at home. But right now, in the case of here, current situation, I think parents have to be a bit more firm and, you know, change the whole system and, you know, reward them if they're not looking at the devices. My personal ways of doing it is that during dinner or lunch or when we're at the dining table, no phones are allowed. No phones, no iPads, nothing is allowed. Okay, it's just conversations, talking, updating each other on what's happening. That's it. And then I know some parents actually allow children to play with their computer devices only on weekends or when their homework is done. I think this is the way we as parents, we have to learn, and the teachers also have to, you know, create that awareness and tell the students that, you know, what can happen if you are too addicted to it and you misuse it. A lot to do actually. Okay, sorry, Ms. Varosha.
Okay.
Okay.
Considering the time fact, we
Yes.
think this is the end of the first plenary session. It's really grateful to you, ma'am, for the informative session conducted here, and it's really benefited for the teachers of English who have gathered in this virtual conference to enhance the knowledge. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome. Thank you very much for, to everyone on NIE. Okay, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite for the RESC workshop 2, which is going to be conducted by RESC Kalutara. Now the platform is yours.
Today's workshop. Good afternoon, everyone. Now you know that there are lots of words in English, words in there. Lots of words are there in English. How many words in there? Yes, half a million words. Yes, about half a million words are there. We can put these words into two compartments. What are those compartments? Can I tell you? Open class. Yes, open class. Closed and closed class. So what are the words that we can categorize under open class? No. Thank you. And the closed class? Determinants, interjections, articles, enumerators. Now, we know that you all know about these things. But today we have planned this workshop under these two objectives. These are the two objectives. First one is we want to raise awareness in word classes. That is our first objective. Second one is that we are going to do formal Bible, small Bible, under this word classes. It would be helpful, all of you, as a teacher. Okay. Now, today's word warmer. When we have this, there are some words. So you have to put these words and phrases together. You can find a relation between these words, some of these words, and you have to put them together. So for that, you can't stay together. You can't be seated all the time. You have to stand up and you have to mingle with others. And I'm going to put these words and phrases on tables. Come here and take a one and mingle and have me back. Okay? Okay. That's how you look like this. Stand in a circle. Stand in a circle. Yes. Hurry up. Make a circle. You don't have. Cannot be any others. Okay, come here, please. What are they? Can you read? Pay attention. Very good. Yes. One, please. Attention. Keep going. Keep going. Yes. Bitter truth. Absolutely. Yes. No. See? Literally, absolutely with it. Yeah. That's right. Sure. That close. Yes. Absolute truth. Very good. The other one is regret. Bitter. Okay. Yes. You? Yes, you come here is select means you go there. Round up. Absolute. Okay. It's right. Now give them a good round of applause. Okay. Now, how did you put them together? On what basis? How did we put those words together? Based on the word class they. Yes, based on the word class they go with. Yes. Now Soft pillow. Yes. Adjective and noun. So typically is based on the word class. Can't we say truck pillow? Yes, please come inside. It's okay. Truck pillow. Can this? Soft pillow. Okay. Why is that? It is okay. Why is it okay? It describes. Right? And that is the natural way of putting these words together. That's why we say, what is a flag? Do we say raise a flag? So there's a natural way of communication, and you can add, yes, you can add some more. There's a natural way of communication. To become good learners, we should learn, we should practice this natural way of communication. Okay? Thank you. Go back to your seats. Thank you. What did we get? Yeah, putting these words together. Any relation? How did they put these words together? Any relation? Should be. Yes. You want to say something? Yeah, there's a connection that we have space to make it together. Natural. There are sayings, and there's a connection, and good speakers and native speakers of English, they put these words together. Now, it's not a thing. See these words, there's another thing, and it's a pattern. Okay, I help you. What is that pattern? There's a pattern. What's the pattern? Didn't you see a pattern? Didn't you see a pattern? What's that order? Stop. Now.
We can use adjective with non-problem.
Adjective should come before the noun. Yes, Tushari? Adjective should come before the noun. Adjectives should come before the noun. Sometimes verbs come before the noun. Is it only adjectives and verbs that can come before the noun? Then preposition. Huh? Prepositions, articles. Now, we have learned about certain type of words. Certain types of words, and we saw a relationship. What can we say for these words? What can we say? We can put all these words and place this into a separate compartment. What is that compartment? Yes. Yes, Kalpanis? Yes? Yes, collocations. Collocations, word collocations. Very good. So, fluent English speakers, native speakers, and speakers who speak naturally, they use collocations. They will not make mistakes because it comes to them through practice. Now, while staying in your groups, let's think about some collocations. And I'm going to give you certain papers. You can write collocations. You say verbs come before nouns, right? Noun, verb. What else? Adjectives come. What else? Preposition is okay. Article, okay. Do write some collocations that you are familiar with. Don't forget, there are noun collocations. Yes. Okay. Now you are with your textbooks. You can find lots of collocations there. Okay. In groups, you make and make a list of some collocations. When you go, you can refer to your school textbook. Yes, get together and find. Don't depend on the book. You can remember. Hurry up. 6 minutes to go. Hurry up. I am going to give you a list. Now. Yes. Huh? No, I am not going to give you a separate because under certain categories there are one. Remember yes. Hurry up. I want examples. I want examples. But you have to tell me the category as well. What it is, when it is now. Okay, enough. Whatever you have now, because I have to give time for that. Yes, please get it. Attention. Can I have your attention? Yes. Make decisions. Take off. Now, what is the category? The first one, now. Make decisions, verb, and now. Take off, verb. Take off. Take off. Yes, it's a present. Okay, yes.
As an example, armchair. Second one, adjective noun. We have written blue sheet, rainy day. And third one is prepositional article noun. Prepositional article noun. Behind the scene.
Okay, thank you. Yes, from that book. After now, there's something like that. Next, yeah, they are not. Activities and all. Cheerleading, open areas, popular pastime. Then preposition plus verb to make, to go. Then the preposition article noun by the sea. Next, noun, rainbow, starfish, is it right? Rainbow, starfish, compound nouns. Compound nouns, yes. Right?
Have a bath, have a watch. That is verb and noun. Ongoing, preposition and verb. Come back, verb and preposition. Take a seat, verb. Call back, verb and preposition.
Okay, now I am going to give, yes. Let me see, my friend. I think let's go to the next activity, that is the second activity. Yeah. The purpose of this activity is to make you aware of the teaching content related to the classes in textbooks and things, right? Because as we all know, different grades have different competency levels, different exercises based on different word classes. So for that, we have assigned an activity. I want you in 3 groups. So could you please go and sit in this group? One of you join this group and one of you. Want to do go through the groups, right? This is group A, group B, group C, right? Group A, you are handling grade 6 book, grade 7 and grade 8, right? Go through the book and see what are the areas we covered in the grade 6 book. I mean the classes, times and the exercises given. Okay, right. Great. For that, I will review table and names. Yeah, what type of noun? What is the word class nouns?
Right.
You are teaching nouns in grade 7, which is that? What is the word?
Describe the unit and the activity type of activity. Yeah. Right now. Right? And the words what kind of words are going to be. Yeah, yeah. Verbs and nouns.
Verbs and
Nouns, right? Verbs and nouns. Class. Activity. You have you.
We have
Just
unit 7. So the unit 8. Unit 8. Curating activity. Activity 8 and activity 8 page number. Page 19. Right. Yeah. That is the page now. Normally, as you said, collecting them. Yeah, better like this is the collecting of compounds. Unit 4.
yeah, right there. I will give you another 5 minutes, right?
That one, 68. That is
Your findings. Grade 6, please come to the board and just display your findings. Right. Grade 6. One of you please come to the board, display your findings and show us the areas that you have to teach in grade 6. I mean nouns and verbs only. Right. One of you very What's up, please? Yes, okay. Okay, since we have one or two activities related to the two word classes, nouns and verbs. On the nouns, plurals of nouns. They are the activities, activity in page 31. So the activity given is filling the blanks with plurals of nouns. So next one, verbs. Under that, our our discuss is simple personal changes. So the activity begins page 53, activity 9. The activity is in the paragraph. Using the simple right. Right. Next group, grade 7. What are the areas? We have to make some.
In grade 7 textbooks, nouns can be taught using many activities. As we mentioned here, under unit 8, we have activity 8, page number 94. It's based on compound nouns. The activity given is to form compound nouns using 3 ways: 1 word, 2 words, and hyphenated word. The other activity is activity 7, page number 46. It's based on collective noun as a puzzle task. The other one is unit 4, activity 9, page number 48 is based on pronoun. Under that, possessive pronouns to fill in the gaps. Verbs, unit 1, activity 15, page 12. They have to write sentences using had. The other one is unit 3, activity 3, page number 26. It's based on be verbs, all 3 basic tenses. And unit 6, activity 9 is in page 68 to write instructions. And the last one is unit 8, activity 6, page number 92 is based on past continuous tense to fill in the gaps.
Okay, thank you. Ready? Come on up, please. Quickly. Please. Okay, good evening, all of you. We found several activities from grade 8 books related to nouns and verbs. From grade 1, we found activity 1.7 that deals with countable nouns. And so we have the activity is write the plural form of the given countable nouns. And the second one is we selected from unit 2, it's related to antonyms. So there was a grid and students need to fill the grid, and there was another activity to find antonyms from a dictionary page. And the next one is unit 4, activity 4.6. It's also okay for the time being, excuse me, enough, right? So the purpose of this activity is to give you a overview of textbooks, right? Okay. Now the next task is nouns, right? What are nouns?
Naming words.
Yes, we usually teach as them, but we have different types of nouns, right? So the purpose of this activity is to give the noun classes, raising awareness on noun classes, their forms and functions. For that also I have another activity, right? So I'll give you a cutout to each one of you, right? There we have noun types of nouns, simple definitions for them, and some examples, right? You have to go mingle in the classroom and find your, for example, compound nouns, the definition and the examples, right? And quickly find your partners and place them in the board, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right, then sit down. Okay, sit down. Right. So you have different types of nouns. What are they? Just make it abstract nouns, concrete nouns.
Yeah, we have small definition. I think you all match the correct definition and the words, right? So what is the purpose of doing this kind of activities? We are not teaching all these things in one lesson. So if you have all these things with you, that fact with you, it will be beneficial. It will be beneficial to you and you may not miss anything when you teach, right? The purpose of giving these kind of activities are, in our workshop is the intent of giving these things to you to keep a fact with you. Then you may not miss anything, right? Let's do the verbs, right? Okay. You have been learning? You have been learning? No. Now you know different nouns, how to use them, right? You can identify them in context. Now we are going to learn about verbs. What do you know about verbs? Actions, only actions. Doing verbs are good. Some other? Yes, has. Is it an action? Has. Right, yes. What do you know about verb class? Verb class. I will be talking about two classes. Regarding nouns and verbs. Yes. Auxiliary and main verbs. Right. So, what do you know about verbs? Class. Yes, when you teach, you feel that there are different types of verbs. So the verb class is the biggest class. So we know. So that is why all these problems create in the classroom when they write, right? So the verb class is the biggest. Right. Yes. Now there are two common divisions. Yes. Regular verbs. How do you put them in the regular and irregular? Under which? Lexical verbs and auxiliary verbs. Right. Give me another word for auxiliary. Right. Now again auxiliaries. Modal auxiliaries. Modal auxiliaries. Very good. And primary auxiliaries. What do they do? Primary auxiliaries. What are they? Primary auxiliaries? Yes. Primary auxiliaries? Okay, I'll help you. I'll show you some sentences, right? Show you some sentences, right? Just read them out. Read them out. Right. What is the verb there? What type of verb is there? Verb? As a main. You think about it? Yes, they are called auxiliaries. Three verbs, right? And at the same time, and the sentence, right? Okay. Give you another sentence. Yeah, against. What is the verb there? What is the verb there? Again. Now, how it happens? Yes, so what purpose is served there? It works as the so that is why we call them primary auxiliary. Right? They can function. Showing another sentence.
Right, read them. Edit.
He has been for years. He has been for years.
Yes, what is the verb there?
And he
Yes, what can you tell about it? Has been used. Yeah. Hook of verb. Hook of verb. Yes, now you told about the two types of verbs earlier. They verbs and auxiliary verbs. So it's correct. They are verb there. Yes, it is the same verb, main verb. So they are what? Yeah, what? Has been teaching. Has been teaching. I have been teaching now. Yes, to talk about. Yes, what aspect? We say has been teaching. Some continuous. Yes, right. That is perfect. Right? Perfect continuous. Yes. Next one. Again. Swimming. What is the verb there? Does. What type of verb is does? It's the main verb there, but it's a. Is it a lexical verb? Yes, it's a primary auxiliary, right? It's the primary auxiliary, but here it acts as the. Next one. Last one. Okay. Eight. Yes. What is the verb there? Main verb there. So the what auxiliary self-built verbs there. So you know the two types of verbs. What are they? Verbs. Yeah, helping verbs. Why we call helping verbs?
They use as the main verb as well as.
Yeah, they can as the main verb and verb to make another verb pattern, right? At sentence pattern, right? Okay, right. I can jump. Yes, I can jump. What does it say? My ability. So what is the main verb there? Jump. So what is can there? What does it do? Yes, it shows us what my ability. So what do auxiliary do? Auxiliary do? Model auxiliaries, what do we do? What do they do? Can, may, might, could, will. What do they do? I can jump. May I come in? Yes. Express the different modalities. What is modalities? Moods. Permission, certainty, uncertainty, different moods, ideas, right? Emotions, right? Okay. So, you know, there are two main categories of verbs. Lexical and auxiliaries. And now you know how to use them. Okay, right. I have another set of verbs. Right. There are different uses of verbs. Right. Right. Is it clear to you? Is it clear to you? Right. To be in that auxiliary verbs, I talk about gender verbs as auxiliaries. That's the modal auxiliaries to make verbs. Some kind of uses of main verbs. What can you say about it? Yes. Now, when you say these kind of verbs, they have different usage patterns, right? How to use them in different sentence patterns. When you make sentences, Verb plus with infinitives. You know what infinitive is? Infinitives. Infinitives. Base form of a verb. They are infinitive. Yes, infinitive. Sorry, infinitive with two infinitives. You can say they are infinitive with no two. Yes, without. Right. Now if you use the word I would rather. I would rather. I would rather. They are infinitive. I would rather go. I would rather go now. I would rather do it now. Right? I would rather correct it now. Right? Like that. Next one. Had better. Eat better. You'd better go now. You'd better do it now. What's it? You'd better do it now. It's the morning. Right? You'd better. Right? Not Buddha. Eat. Had. He had better go now. He can't stay here. So move. Right? As a warning. Right? Next one. Name. Or help. Help. Yes. Help. Yes. How will you say next one? Sense words. See and hear. See and hear. What is the thing given? The verb form after see, sense verb is simple if the whole action has been observed. Right? If the whole action has been observed by you, if you use see or hear, you have to use what? There infinitive. I see him come. I see him come. I saw. The action was completed. I saw his coming. I see him come. I see him run. Right? Right. Okay. Next use of main verbs. Verb with ing. How many we know what it is? How do we use gerunds? The verb form? Noun. Verbal noun we call it. Noun very good. It's as verbs as noun. How do you use they? Can you see? Example. Right. Enjoy. Finish. Keep on. Go. Carry on. Right. How do you use it in sentences? Avoid. Please avoid. By verb with ing, right? It says avoid eating here. Enjoy swimming. Right. 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 So those are the set grammar rules. Right. Next one, make it as a main verb in a sentence. Right. Next one, carry on speaking. Carry on studying. And carry on doing your work. Right. Okay. That's okay. Next one, two word verbs. Two word verbs. Do we have two word verbs? What are they? Relational verbs. Do we use? Do they come in the next? Yes, please. Come, small, take it, call it, call up, get you, put up on the notice board, something like that, right? Or how do we use them? How do we use them? I have given you separable verbs, separable. Phrasal verbs. How can be separable? So phrasal verbs are with the main verb plus preposition. Now how do we say? Right, put on, put on, put on. First example. Now I have given an example for you. Right. Read this example. Smarter, smarter, rather. Yes, why I cannot put those together? Why? Separable in what they are. But you know what they are. And here, I have written it. Rule. Can you identify the rule easily? Why? Once the verb that makes particle have to be separated. My mother. Right. I'll just give you one small activity with your identification of words, right? Don't take much time, between 1 or 2 minutes, try to do it. Simply. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
She had not expected this task. She had not expected this task. This task was she had not expected this
Right.
task.
1 or 2 sentences you have usually done. Okay.
This
Right. Okay. Yes. Who is ready? Who is ready? Which group? Which group is ready? Okay. You are ready. Right. Listen to them. Okay, we'll see. Ready. Number 8. Number 8. Yes. Number 8. So, what is the verb? Verb? Yes, verb? Main verb, right, past tense, right. Next one? Brenda is studying. Brenda is studying. Study by studying. Yes, hence is the verb. When you follow another verb, so it has to be as a gerund, right? Yes. Next one. She made me feel like feeling or feel. She made me feel. She made me cry. She made me go. Right. She made me cry like a lady. Right. First one. Next one. They are right. The man denied. The man denied committing, no commit. Gerund or to infinitive. Committing. She decided to. Sorry. The man denied committing. Right? Because 2 verbs together. So the following up has to be a form of a gerund, right? Okay, now okay, like that with the verb, understanding of the verbs and their usage, their function, you must be able to have a thorough knowledge about how the verbs are used in different contexts, different sentences. Okay, now we have been trying to give you some awareness about nouns and verbs, right? They have different features in different context as functions, right? Though they are, though we divided them into isolated faculties, the classes, they do some kind of different functions. Okay, so how about this? So I think we feel this kind of grammar guide, if you keep them as a set of guide, right, for your reference, as quick reference, I think you will be able to do a better job in your lesson planning, right? Do you think so? Yes, even you may have some kind of problems when you do it, so it will be beneficial for you to have a small grammar guide with you, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, RESC, for the wonderful and fruitful workshop conducted at the Virtual Conference 2022. The next session of the conference will be commenced right after a short break. Let's enjoy tea.